Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another daily dose of Masters 25 spoilers. And oh my goodness, this 1 week spoiler season is super absurd. We have a ton of stuff to talk about today, which means we should probably jump right into it. And we're going to start off today with the new Mythix, starting with everyone's favorite lantern control staple, Ensnaring Bridge. So Ensnaring Bridge is a very divisive card. A lot of people hate this card because it's pretty unfair, just locks creatures out of the game. It is the key piece to making a deck like Lantern Control work, also free win red. Good news is, it's like $40, so it's a pretty reasonable reprint at Mythic Rarity. This does mean that unfair decks, Lantern Control, free win red, even burn sideboards sometimes use it, are going to have even more access to this. It's arguable that some builds of like burn, for example, aren't playing Ensnaring Bridge because people don't want to spend that amount of money, so you might see an uptick in play in Ensnaring Bridge with this reprint. Plus, the new art looks pretty sweet, so I'm excited for that. So anyway, reprint number 1 of the day, Ensnaring Bridge, definitely some good value in the Mythic slot. Moving on with our Mythics, we have Doomsday, and Doomsday is not that exciting of a Mythic. It is not worth very much. It's played a little bit in competitive Commander. It's played in Vintage, sometimes in Storm decks. It's not very good in Limited, so I don't know. The upside of this card is the new art from Noah Bradley is super awesome. By far my favorite Doomsday art. So that's super sweet, but as far as value, this is kind of another Comet Storm Mythic that you really don't want to crack open in your box. We did get another good Mythic though in Vendilion Clique. Vendilion Clique currently comes in the top 30 of most played creatures in the modern format. Still pretty expensive despite multiple reprintings, so it's always nice to have more Vendilion Cliques in circulation. Might increase in prominence now that Jace is in the format. People are kind of trying out blue control decks. Vendilion Cliques fits really well in those strategies. Not to mention things like fairies if that deck makes a comeback at some point. But it's just a really good option. It's cheap, it's efficient, it gives blue this weird Thoughtseize effect on a good body. So another solid reprint in the Mythic slot. Moving on, we have a couple of pretty disappointing reprints. Prosh, Sky Raider of Kerr is like $1. In all fairness, there is some upside to this reprint. First off, Wizards did get an excuse to print a Kobold of Kir Keep token, which is pretty sweet. So that alone makes me kind of like it. It's also the first time we're going to have Prosh in foil, and that's kind of a big deal for Commander. Prosh is like 15th, I think, on the list of most played Commanders on EDH Rec, so it is ultra popular as a Commander, and having it in foil might make the foils pretty expensive. That said, it's still a Comet Storm in the sense that when you crack this in your booster, if it's not a foil, you're going to be a little disappointed at your $1 Mythic Rare. And Armageddon is kind of the same way. Armageddon, it's a fun, flavorful reprint, using fun in a kind of a loose way, but it's a really on-point reprint. It's an iconic card. The problem is, it's been reprinted about 1 million times and just not worth very much. I was really hoping that even though it's less iconic and less probably on point with the 25th anniversary set, that we would get Ravages of War, because Ravages of War is super expensive, basically a functional reprint of Armageddon, really low supply since it's Portals to Rekingdom, but Armageddon, definitely look out for it in Limited. This card can be a blowout in like a White Weenie style deck in Limited. While not a Mythic, probably the most important reprint of the day was Rishadan Port, at rare no less. Super, super important reprint. Close to $100 right now, and it was even more than that in the past. If you're not familiar with Port, it was heavily played in Standard. It's still heavily played in Legacy and Death and Taxes. And the real reason this reprint is so important is because it really opens up Legacy Death and Taxes to be almost a budget-friendly deck. $400 worth of Rishadan Port was making the deck, which is currently like the 5th most played deck in Legacy. So it's a legit tier at the top of the format deck, but it was making it hard to really access if you're getting into the format. With Rishadan Port being reprinted at rare, which should drop the price significantly, we're going to be looking at a lot of people having Death and Taxes as a legitimate starter deck for Legacy, and that's not even including like Thalia, Guardian of Therion being reprinted. Some of the other pieces, if we get maybe a Cavern of Soul would be nice, but Caracas was reprinted, and a Turtle Masters. Wasteland was also recently reprinted, so a lot of the most expensive cards from Death and Taxes have recently been reprinted. Rishadan Port is the final piece of the puzzle to really make that deck accessible for everyone, so super great reprint. Our last rare for the day, sneaking in very late, Darien, King of Kaldor. I don't know. It's fine. It's iconic. You can play in Commander. Not super excited about this one, though. Hopefully you don't actually open it. Moving on to our rares. We start with an iconic, although not very expensive combo, Flash Hulk. So if you're not familiar with the Flash Hulk combo, it's basically this combo deck where you use Flash to put Hulk into play, maybe on turn 1, and then you tutor out the right combination of pieces, body doubles and Revel Arcs and Mog Fanatics and Carrion Feeders, which essentially lets you win the game right away. And this deck actually was banned almost instantly. It came out in 2007 when Hulk was printed, won a Legacy GP, was almost immediately banned following that performance because it was just too good for the Legacy format. It'll be interesting to see if Flash and Hulk can do anything in Limited. Will Wizards give us the other combo pieces to tutor out to actually combo off with Flash and Hulk in Limited? We'll have to wait and see, but again, another not valuable set of reprints, but on point if we're celebrating 25 years of Magic's history. We also got Magus of the Wheel, which is actually a surprisingly good reprint. It's like $11. The bigger deal is it is never been in foil before, so this is a chance for Commander players to get their foil Magus of the Wheels. Probably be really expensive in foil, but even non-foil, $11, pretty reasonable reprint. Then we have a bunch of just bulk level rares that are not very exciting. Living Wish, it's a fun card, tutoring stuff from your sideboard. One of the big problems with Living Wish, and the Wish cycle in general, is it doesn't really have Commander demand, because most Commander groups don't play with sideboards, so you don't really have anything to wish for. So that's one of the downsides. I don't know who this reprint is marketed at. Living Wish sometimes really fringe play in Legacy, not legal in Modern, doesn't really see play in Vintage, so I don't know who really wants Living Wish, but it is cool to see Wishes coming back. Living Death with the newest art, very powerful and Limited, a fine Commander card. Ball Lightning, meh. I mean, I guess if Mono Red Aggro is a thing in Limited, it'll be probably pretty good, but it's been reprinted a ton of times, not worth much. Vindicate would have been much more exciting a couple of years ago before it got the Eternal Masters reprint, but it's still a very iconic removal spell. Wrapping up our rares for the day, Hannah Ship's Navigator, good commander-ish, not one of the most popular commanders, but it does see play in Commander, so a fine reprint in that sense. Rurik Thar was played in Standard, so I guess that's why it sneaks into the set. Not very valuable though. Same with Biden of Thassa, it's got a promo from pre-release or game day or something, was very important to Mono Blue Devotion in Standard, so it makes sense from a historical perspective, but still not a rare you really want to open. It is worth mentioning the foreign language card there, Eldrami's Call, is actually a pretty good reprint. It's somewhat expensive, mostly because it's in low supply. The big deal though is foils are really in demand for Commander. The original foil of Eldrami's Call is like $75, so getting more foils in the marketplace, gonna be nice. A nice upside of this reprint in Masters 25. Moving on to the lower rarity stuff today, probably the most exciting thing to happen was the downgrade of Savannah Lions with super sweet new art from rare to common. That means Savannah Lions, for the first time, legal in Pauper. Worth mentioning, like Elite Vanguard has already been printed at common, so it's not the first time we've had a white 2-1-for-1 legal in Pauper, but maybe having some redundancy, multiple Savannah Lions with Elite Vanguard and Savannah Lions legal in the format. Maybe that makes a new sort of like white weenie beatdown type deck. Speaking of rarity downgrades, Undead Gladiator was very good in Standard, pretty spicy card, not all the way down to common, if you can't tell, because it's really hard to tell the commons from uncommons in this set, but it is a cool Limited card, do some cycling, grindy value, a nice downgrade to uncommon there. The rest of the lower rarity stuff, Dark Ritual, Giant Growth, pretty iconic. I mean, you can't have a History of Magic nostalgia set without having some of the iconic 1-mana spells all the way back from Alpha. Unfortunately, Ancestral Recall, not gonna make it. Hopefully, Healing Salve doesn't make it. Lightning Bolt, I'll be a bit disappointed if it doesn't sneak in. Otherwise, Fierce Empath, Goblin War Drums, Core Firewalker, good sideboard card for Modern. Zombify, I mean, it's fine and Limited, but it's kind of been outclassed as Magic has moved along. So not super great as far as that's concerned. And that brings us to the end of our daily dose of Masters 25 spoilers. So what do you think of the Rishadan Port reprint? What do you think of Ensnaring, Rich? Are you excited that it's back and going to be cheap? Are you dreading the fact that it's going to be more accessible? How about the rares and mythics? What are you most excited excited for the first time foils the super sweet Kobold of Carrot Keep token? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.